Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Snack Bites. So today I want to talk about the opening sequence of episode 810, where it kind of shows like the individual reactions that both Rick and Michonne are having in reaction to Carl's death. Obviously they are the only ones that are left in Alexandria. Everybody else goes to the hilltop to seek safety, and they stay behind to see Carl off. And the next morning, it shows both of them standing over his grave, and I don't understand why. I'm not sure what was going on here, but at one point Rick like takes Carl's gun out and puts it on the cross that they made, and it looks almost like for a second he's about to leave it behind.
He was gonna pull a Maggie, and then he
I was
got
just
some
thinking that,
sense.
yeah, with the stopwatch. I was just thinking that. Thank God he changed his mind. That would have been real dumb. Um, he takes it back, obviously, and then it cuts to Michonne, and she for some reason has a really sentimental connection to this gazebo that Carl used to sit on, to the point where she actually puts herself in major danger to go over there and extinguish it with a fire extinguisher because it's on fire. And it's just interesting to like watch them both kind of like trying to save like physical things that represent Carl in some way to them. Like Rick with the gun and the gazebo with her. I mean, especially the gazebo, it doesn't even look like at this point that they're going to come back to Alexandria anytime soon. But it's so important to her that she has to. I don't even remember what scene she's talking about with him sitting on the
Well,
roof.
we see. Well, that's because we never actually saw it. Which now that reminds me, I'll probably write a fanfic about it. But I mean, there's a ton of things that go on off screen that we don't actually see, like Rick and Michonne getting it in, or someone using the bathroom, changing Judith's diapers, or I guess she's in like pull-ups now at this point. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we don't see that they do off screen. Like I'm sure they, maybe they play some kind of sports game on the weekends, or Aaron mentioned karaoke night. I'm sure they do something else that we don't actually get to see in the show, which is why. And I said this before. I actually wrote a fanfic to this effect, and I can't recall the name. Where in my head there was like a it was one of the karaoke nights, and there's this awesome moment with Rick and Michonne like on the porch, and like they're having like a date night at the same time basically. And we don't, I mean, there, these moments exist, obviously they don't just uh, they're not there's movement to their lives that we don't get to see because the show can only do so much. But I still think it would be great to have a scene that's not a dream but maybe a flashback of where the group's together, including Abraham and Glenn even, and Sasha, where they're just, it's just a regular day and nothing happens. And we get to
Nobody
see
dies.
nobody
Nobody.
dies, there's no fighting, it's just the characters interacting with each other. Like, for instance, Maggie and Glenn making the conscious decision to have a baby. Let's see that conversation. Or, just like a family game night with Rick, Michonne, and Carl. Like, these moments exist, we just don't get to see them. And I still think that that would be a great episode to have, just in it, a flashback in its entirety. Just a lazy Sunday. Hell, they could call it Lazy Sunday, and fuck all happens, and all the characters are there.
I'd like to see that as well. I think Rick is reacting to Carl's death in true Rick fashion, meaning that he's like sad for a second and then he immediately switches that sadness to rage. And in this case, it's towards Negan. When Lori died, he took it out on the walkers. When Carl got shot in the face, he took it out on the walkers. He's like sad for a second and then immediate rage.
Well, in this scene, we don't really get to. He dials it back because Michonne's like, all determined to put out the fires,
And he helps her.
and he hopes like
She almost like was. I mean, I don't know, man. She was not being.
That's what I'm saying. He's holding it together while she's going kind of off the
He had to
rails.
yell at her to realize that there was a walker like a foot behind her.
Um, I think, and also apparently, allegedly, this episode is kind of an homage to Reservoir Dogs. And let me say this: if anyone is going to do an homage to Tarantino, number one, there had better be a trunk scene. The camera's looking up at two characters having a conversation, looking in the trunk. And number two, there better be an Amazeball soundtrack, which did not exist. It can't just be putting things out of order and having no cards with the person's name. Like, don't have Michonne's name
Eh,
pop up, and then it's not even closely with her perspective. Like, what was the like? You know what I mean? I found that problematic in an artistic sort of way. I see what they were trying to do, but like, I know Tarantino, and if you're gonna do Tarantino, you got to do it right. Don't do no half-ass homage.
I didn't think it was that bad. I'm more forgiving.
I'm
Reservoir
the
Dogs is
like,
actually my favorite Tarantino movie,
yeah, but
and
I'm the
I didn't even
Tarantino
hate it
head.
that
Like,
much.
if this was, an homage to Venom, I'm sure you would pick it apart.
Probably.
Oh,
That's
there you go.
that's a fair point.
Yeah, yes.
Um, which actually, now I kind of feel stupid because I didn't actually recognize the homage until you pointed it out to me.
Well,
'Cause I hadn't seen that movie in a
I
long
didn't notice
time.
it really either. Like, I was trying to figure out what they were doing. I was like, okay, it's out of sequence. Okay, and there's these title cards which don't totally fit the scenes. They kind of fit the scenes, but not really. And then someone else on one of those Walking Dead groups, I was scrolling in my on my Facebook timeline, well, news feed rather, and someone pointed out the comparison, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes kind of sense, but like,
The reason why I didn't pick up on it is because I thought they were doing the same thing as they did in the season 5 premiere actually, where it was like before in that same font, and then it shows Gareth like locked in the truck car thing, like as when he was a prisoner, and then it like does the same thing later, and it says after. I just thought it was that. I thought they were just redoing that. It didn't like connect with me that
well,
it was like an homage to Tarantino, really.
I'm just glad that they did it like this and not like the opening in season 6 where like, well, let's change the colors to so people know it's a flashback. Like, I thought that was just like, I hated it.
I
I
like
hated it. I
that.
hated the season opener.
Yeah, I know.
Like, the audience is smart enough to know if it's a flashback. They're smart enough to figure it out, which is what happened in this episode. Like, they had flashbacks.
That's the other reason why I didn't think that it was an homage because I'm like, oh, it's out of order. They've done a million episodes that are out of order, so it's like nothing new. Um, Anything more about that opening sequence?
Um, just that I'm guessing the hat's in the van, Carl's hat that he left
Oh
for
yeah, I
Judith.
was wondering about that
He
too.
left it to Judith.
Yeah.
Um, which I thought was great that she cried on cue when she was being pulled away, like she knew.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm glad that Rick took back the gun. I'm glad he didn't pull a Maggie because that was
Yep,
just that still bothers me to this day. And then she had the nerve to punch Gregory. It's like he did right, leaving a watch out there to get rained on and stuff. It ain't gonna do nobody no good sitting out there. Mm-mm.
it might be the only good thing that Gregory's ever done.
And we
Anything
should
else?
um just now that we we're gonna get more Rick and Michonne together. I'm just waiting on Michonne to tell Rick about Andre, since no one
Mm,
alive knows about his existence now that Carl is gone. So,
that's a good point.
and and he's probably in her letter, it probably mentions something about him about Andre.
that's a good prediction, and I think you're probably right. On that note, if you guys like our content, make sure to subscribe right up here in the corner. Also, follow us on Instagram at RLRoshone, and also check out our brand new website, thelivingroshone.com. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.